Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. And as usual, we welcome our guests in all humbleness and we accept their invitation with the hope that they will come and help you and I to become better human spirits as they educate us as to the tools that they utilize within their journey, how they overcame, and what they have produced today. We are so excited to have this guest. And so I cannot wait because she has a lot of insights that I want to tap into so that we can grow and become better human spirits, as I said, while we occupy this planet called Earth. Thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
Oh, Ken, I'm really, really pleased to be here with you and having our conversation.
Excellent. I want you to tell the people some of the things that you have created. And I know you have a lot. And I know that you're coming from the prism of trauma and tools and programs that you have in place to address those issues because they do come in many forms. And but I want you to talk a little about it, educate them, and tell them some of the things that you are currently doing for those that have experienced trauma.
Okay, first of all, I want to tell your audience, take a breath, get down and meet me down into your heart. That's where we belong. We don't belong up here. So when you get to your heart, I want to tell you something that when you were growing up, nobody ever told you, nobody ever reminded you, but you are a divine spirit. Okay. We are here together as divine spirits. And I call it divine sparks. We're all sparks. Consider the planet. We're all sparks just twinkling like stars, And guess what? We're from that one flame of the divine. All of us. I have a different story from you. I may have gone through my stuff before you, but that's the reason I'm here, to really support you and hold that space for you. So that's where one start from who we are. We are the innocence of our being. So, all right. So let's move away from that now and talk about how we were treated. All of us were treated different. But guess what? They didn't understand the essence of our love. We came here to give love and receive love back. And ask you the question, did you always receive love back? Take something really simple. Let's say you went outside, we're all curious, children curious, and you fell and mess up your clothes and you come in and you are yelled at. You just put those clothes on and you just went out and mess it up. Now I have to go change your da-da-da. Something simple that an adult, when you grow up as an adult, you would never think that's anything. Your intelligence, would say, I understand why she got upset or I'm upset. Think about how you, as this innocent child, felt with something like that. Or it won't even have to yell at you. They just take one good look at you with that upset in them. And we're multidimensional beings. We were able to have this sensitivity that a lot of adults have forgotten about. And your parent take one look at you because they're upset with you, and that stare traumatized you. You may not remember, but in your innocence, that's what happened. We all came into this traumatized planet. And, the thing is why we're here is because we know that we are strong enough, we are divine enough to overcome everything that is here. So what I do, to me, some people say, I've gone through the dark night of my soul, a period of maybe 3 years. But the way I look at it, I lived the dark night of my soul until I faced the wounds that I had locked away and walked away from because I thought, I'm older now. That only happened to her when she was a little. And I had a mystical moment where my soul said, you can't You're here on this planet for a reason, and you've got to face it. The most beautiful thing that I want to share with all of you is that, going through my self healing was the greatest wisdom because I got to learn about the human condition. So don't hide away from your emotional entanglement. Let it come because the emotions, you see, we're emotional beings, but we need to use it in an appropriate way. I had the memories, but I locked away the emotions. And that's when I began to go through my awakening, was to connect my emotions to the memory. And it was a lot. It was a lot.
How old did you start?
Because my
Did you go on your journey? How old was your awakening? Did it happen? At what age?
Okay, the real awakening, the real awakening happened about 11
Okay.
years
Okay.
ago. The self healing happened when I was
Okay.
39, 40. I was going through a deep emotional pain. Oh, it was so huge. That a mystical moment, I realized that my soul projected my childhood in front of me. My eyes are open and I don't want to see you, just go. But after a while, I knew I had to connect with that child. After a while, I knew. Now I know more that your little child, the child in you, is a wisdom keeper because that's where the innocence is. That's where the multidimensional understanding is. And if we cover it up with the conditioning that everybody's throwing at us, we start to live from that conditioned self. And it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, because, I remember I had a client. He was so beautiful. Maybe he was early 50s. And he was a millionaire by then on his own. And so he came to see me. And I said, I want you to tell me about your childhood stuff because that's what I do. To me, the most important thing on that form is give me 3 things that happened in your life and your age. And I have the ability to look and the ability to feel because it's my God given talents. I didn't go learn that. And we all have those things in us.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we all have these God given talents, and mine may be a little different from yours. We all have it. We all came here in an agreement. So anyway, he said, oh, I didn't have any. I didn't have any, but he came because of his neck. And he reminded me, he said, do you remember what happened the first time I came? I said, no. He said, Mother Mary came and helped me with my neck. Okay. So he was a beautiful man. Well, several years later, he had diabetes. And it woke him up he came into my office. We sat on the carpet in my room. And then he told me about his child. Because when he said, I didn't have any, I respect him. Because I know that's not true. I would never, ever say that's not true. And he told me about how he was a good guy. He took care, he smoothed over everything that was happening. And so what happened is there was no place for him to look at what was happening in him. And that was the issue.
So let me take you back a little further back because we want to come back and find out first what caused the trauma. Talk to us about your childhood as to how was your family and that type of thing, and then we're going to walk back through high school and college and stuff because you said that one of the major events that happened to you was in your 30s, and so we wanted to go a little further back and then come on back to that to investigate a couple more. Talk to us about your childhood.
Okay. This is what I walked away from. This is what I hid into a closet. Before I was born in an island in Jamaica, in the mountain village. Perfect setting. And the psychic in the town told my mother that she could die in childbirth unless she drank this bush tea. So I was the 6th of 10 children. And my mother did drink the tea. And during time to be birthed, she had the nurse that comes to the house to deliver the baby. Yeah. And I was a breech. I turned across and there was no way I could be
Wow.
birthed. So she suffered 3 days and 3 nights of
Mm.
labor until the midwife, I think a divine angel came into her and literally pulled me
Wow.
out. So what's the first memories that I had? When my mother didn't go through her emotional release for that I came to kill her. So I came to kill her. Who am I? I'm innocent. We are innocent. Whatever they tell us, we believe. So that was the beginning of my separation from my mother and many other things. Beaten at 2 because I didn't drink the malted milk she gave me, and I gave it to the nursemaid, and she drank it and lied that I threw it away. I'm only 2. These things are very, very real to you. You don't lie at 2. And I was beaten and locked away. So, all of these things added up to who I thought I was. I was very, very insecure. I felt something is wrong with me. And those are just 2 things I'm talking about. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. So when I would, as I'm growing up, I withdrew. I withdrew from everyone, and I would close down. That was my thing. I'm a loner. I close down. I withdraw when things are not going right. I withdraw into my little shell, and I walk into a room as I get older. And if nobody says, hi, how are you? Or acknowledge me, I close down. I felt that was not it. So I know the different experiences that we have gone through in our human condition years. Gosh, man. But I had to learn that. I had to learn the pain. I had to overcome the pain. Because what I came in this lifetime unknown to me then is that I had a soul contract. And you all have a contract. You may not be here to do what I do, but darn it, you may be here to be able to learn to forgive. Or you may be here to learn how to love more. You may take it, oh, that's so simple. That's huge. We all are here to live from a place of love. But there are people like me who will help you to unveil. They won't do it like me. We all do it different. But the most important thing, you have to touch your emotion. So as I continued to grow up, I was very shy, extremely shy. And even my first marriage, I'm upset. And I couldn't tell my husband why I'm upset. Oh my God. The more he asked me, the more he begged me. I couldn't, because I had already locked everything up. So as the years go by, I went there to learn something, and I went to learn about my efficiency, because my husband was the opposite of my father. My father took charge, and then I had to be the one to take charge. So I learned, but I resent. And time goes by, we had a divorce. And then I had a relationship that reminded me of my father. That's what I was consciously looking for, my father. What is that? A leader, strong, takes charge. I wanted that. And so I projected that in this psychiatrist. And he was a good cook, just like my father. Oh, my heavens. And of course, the relationship didn't last. It wasn't meant to last. That was a heartbreak. When I was 39, 40, that was a heartbreak. I wanted to hide under the smallest area that I could find, under the bed somewhere. I was in such pain. Then in a mystical moment, my little child came in front of me, and I thought, at that time I don't relate it to my pain. I said, what are you doing here? I don't want to see you. I just don't want to see you. Just go. And that lasted 3 weeks. No words. She had the saddest eyes as she looked at me. No words. And then after 3 weeks, I know I had to connect. And I understood that key for this was my emotions was what I had
Yeah.
locked away. I needed to connect it with the memories. That very important. This is the most important thing I'm telling you to start your healing. Feel it.
Yeah.
You may not fall on the ground and cry. You know, I was a crier, accustomed to that. But feeling is felt in different ways. But you
Yeah.
gotta feel it because it's locked
Yeah,
in your
it's locked
body.
up. In my case, I remember, and I've said this before, I was in my 20s, and I'm from Guyana. So I can hear your accent in there. Um, when I was walking on campus and 20 something years old, 21, and the flood of the emotions of my memory of my childhood situation where I received my trauma came at me like a freight train. And I remember walking down the campus, just walking to class. And this memory came out of nowhere. And I remember it coming so intensely because I was walking and trying to manage it. But the more I tried, the harder it got. And so I was trying to find a place to run to away from the crowd of bodies so that I can walk myself through this to first go, okay, it's here. I need to start dealing with it. So I know exactly what you're talking about, allowing yourself to feel. And it's an intense rush because sometimes it comes out of, like in my case, it came out of nowhere. It was always there, but I kept suppressing it. I kept pushing it down, and I wouldn't allow it to have a voice until that particular day on campus. And it comes some of the strangest times, people. So you need to face this because it was the beginning of my healing, and I can testify to that as you're talking about yours. We all have to go to that place. It's a place of honor. It's a place of pain, but it's a place of power as well. Once you allow it to reside and begin the awakening that it is you deserve as such a special being on this earth. You deserve that awakening because it will give you power as you go and have that conversation. Can talk to us about yours as you. I just wanted to interject that because I wanted my story to be lined up with you so that they could see that this is a necessary process that you have to undertake.
Yes, good. And here is something else, you know. I don't want this to be too heavy, but I want this to for you to all of you to understand. Because through my own everything that I talk about is through my
Mm-hmm.
own experiences. So during the time of self-healing, you know, we all our souls have brought in remnants of unfinished stuff that is stored in our cells, in our body. And I remember a lot of my crying, a lot of my releasing was whatever here was connected to some other
Mm-hmm.
lifetimes that I brought in to clear out. So it's a really beautiful, beautiful, important experience for your beingness. And I so I that's when I got to realize that it's my soul's contract because I loved God from I
Mm-hmm.
was a little girl. Sunday school, they talked about God, and I never left that. I never
Yeah.
forgot that. So I had this love for God, this God that they said is
Mm-hmm.
in heaven. I wanted to know where that was. But it's the love of spirit is that golden thread that goes through the tapestry of
Mm-hmm.
my life, you know, and so I was always looking for that fulfillment. It wasn't in creating successful business because I'm good at that. It wasn't there. It wasn't about the money making there. It was
Mm-hmm.
something else. And with all of us, when you feel a pull to go somewhere or do something,
Yeah.
go do it. It may not be the end result, but it may be you need to have some experience that is going to create some kind of wisdom. So that's what happened. And when I began to go through my healing, I know I remembered it was like my gifts were being held from me, my soul, and I became a lot more intuitive, a lot more empathic. I was able to, someone is speaking, I don't care where they are, and I'm feeling their stuff. Or I touch someone because I was sent to massage school, and I knew there was a wisdom to that. I needed to be in the vibration of this person. It took me a long time to figure out. I need to be in the energy. Yeah. And I will see the density and I will touch it. And I am wow. So I had to refine the way in which I needed to stop taking the emotions. I came in this lifetime to refine it because in other lifetimes I was very empathic, and I came in from an indigenous background with a shamanic thing. So it was all there, but I needed to refine it. So now you and I have a relationship, a sacred relationship in our sessions. Isn't it so beautiful? And unknown to you, you don't know that the questions I ask you take me to that place in you that you had forgotten or didn't realize that your upsetness today has something to do with a long time ago.
Yeah, most people.
And that is how
most people get lost in their busyness, and when they come to someone like you, because you've been through it, and you know exactly the type of questions to ask in order to pull the deepness out of them, because again, they are not privy to it because of their lifestyle of working, going home, the kids, whatever it is that they're pulling from the outside. But someone like you that have gone through that specific journey knows the question why, because you've asked those questions yourself, and you know the type of results that that question will produce. And so then when they sit before someone like yourself, their growth is much faster than yours, because the questions is the key that opens and unlock all the hidden mysteries that they have within themselves, that many of them don't even know that it's there until those questions are began to cause them, like you did with that gentleman. You asked him the question. He's like, no, I don't have any. But that question was able to stay there, was a seed that was planted within his being. And then when he recognized, wait a minute, he came running right back to you.
So I have another memory, which I think would be a good one. It was a man too, and and during into the session, he told me that his mother was very kind to him. Ooh, that was a bird. Ooh. Oh, okay. That his mother was very kind to him. But one day, when she was with him, smiling, happy, he saw that inside of her, she was very unhappy. And in his young age, he's in his innocent spirit. Remember, multidimensionally, he can see these things. He got very confused and he closed up because he couldn't trust that.
Wow.
So I brought that up to you listeners, just in case, so you can understand, and don't let go your innocence. Don't let go your heart space, not your mind. Your mind has a lot of beliefs.
The mind is another place. But yeah, it's in your spirit, man. Yeah. It's not, it doesn't reside within the mind. It resides within the heart. The deepness of those type qualities does not reside there. It is in that heart, is in that spirit of the man and that woman that is able to contain it and to hold it, because it is such power that the spirit is the only part of us, I believe, that can contain and to handle that, because of the richness of the quality of that item, that material that is called love. And the mind will talk you out of it. It'll talk you out of some of the things, the assignments that you need to go on,
The mind, in a way, I want to see the other side of the mind. It was to protect you from
Yes,
further
yes.
pain. So it shields you. It's shielding you, but you have to
Yeah.
break that. Oh, I wanted to tell you the end result about
Yes.
my mother, because I think it's important. After going through my own healing, and, there was a lot of distance between my mother and I mean, consciously, a lot of distance. And I began to understand the wisdom of why the soul, chose that family. It was perfect. I knew, my soul knew that it was here as a contract to help people in the way that I do now. But you think, I didn't remember that. None of us remember why we're here. So we had to be placed in a place where we start to have the experience, and we took it personal, but moving through and allowing those imprints to be released, your heart opens more. You begin to understand, oh my God, if it wasn't for that, I would never understand. If the experiences is the wisdom, it's where the wisdom is. That is my experience. And I don't think it's different from anybody else's. I don't think it's different from Ken's either.
It is, I'll tell you what, was this the incident that happened in your 30s with the gentleman where you lost that relationship that escorted you into the journey of dealing with yourself? How did you handle this? Because this is really important, because a child that is that traumatized about themselves, how did you escort yourself out from the self doubt, the limited thinking of this young being that it held you and kept you silent? How did you learn to escort yourself out of that type of behavior and programming?
All right. So yeah, right. So after the 3 weeks of seeing the young girl sad in front of me, I got to realize within me I have to connect with her. So I didn't know where to go. I mean, I don't know how to do that. And so there was I have a spiritual group, and I have a little outer circle spiritual group. So there was one woman who did massage and something else. So I think, okay, this something else is probably what I need to go find out. So I called her and I said, I want to connect my little girl, my child with me. She says, oh, that's something that I do. And I opened my mouth in gasping. You mean people really do that? So I went to her. She said, oh, it's going to be so easy for you because you're ready to do that.
Wow.
Oh, yes. I only. So she had me lie down and covered over. And she said, I want you to breathe and tell me what the first thing that comes to you. My soul was ready, but my mind was not. And I said to myself, you want me to tell you something I've never talked about? To myself, I'm saying that. You want me to tell you. And, oh my God, I struggled with it like for about 20 minutes. And the other part of me said, you came here for something and you can't leave without it. That's what my soul thought. So it wasn't about my mother. I said I was molested when I was 5 years old. And it was like I had asked her for a glass of water. I thought, you mean she's not shocked? Probably how many times she's heard that. But for the first time, bringing out a deep shame is frightening for a person. And I know for some of you, it doesn't matter what, but whatever you have held inside in shame, it's not your fault. You are holding the memories, but you didn't do it to yourself. I want you to remember, the more you hold on to the things that happened, you're holding on to that person who had hurt you. When you do that. So I went home and I realized, oh, I need to get my emotions to my memories. Good. And that's how it started.
That is impactful. And because that is a place that a lot of people visit, shame and all of these things. And shame was one of the things I had to get over as well. And it is an interesting journey when you walk with that. And I try to tell everyone that I can when it comes to shame, you have to learn how to deal with it immediately, because you can it can drive people to take their lives and all of these different things because of shame. And I try to encourage people that get in touch with people that have been through these things, so that you are, I want to remind them that they're not alone. This is why Threads of Enlightenment is here. One of the reasons that we are here is so that those that are listening, we want to let you know you are not alone. And you can contact everyone, and you're hearing this story. I ask that you guys get in contact with her, so that, she can walk you through these things and ask you the questions that you don't even know that you should ask, because of the busyness, the programming that you have received from society, from parents, and all the different things, religion, and all of it. And you will see that you have to go on this journey on your own, in the sense where you get a privilege, and I considered it an honor. And that is what I tell people what enlightenment is. Enlightenment is that you and I are becoming better students of ourselves. And as we gain the insight as to who we are, we learn to love ourselves. We learn to forgive ourselves. We learn to do all the things that are necessary for us to heal. And so when you come to a person that have gone through that have been healed, they can then assist you in recognizing the path that you need to take, so that you can acquire your healing just like them. So here you are. That was the first encounter. You said there was a second. Take me to the second. The second opportunity that you
Okay,
had.
I'm okay. I keep this behind eyes. So as I said, you didn't forget. So as I said,
No.
I loved
Mhm.
God. It just in my tapestry, It just, and so I was very spiritual. I've always been spiritual. I'm not
Mhm.
religious. Well, there was a time when I went to Catholic boarding school and I wanted to be a nun, because to me, none was
Yeah.
married to God. It was about God
Yeah.
all the time. So anyway, I was very determined. I wasn't, I thought life is a mystery. You keep moving, and you keep
Mhm.
unfolding, and the unfoldment, comes to the time when you having this experience. Is so beautiful. So I loved mystical things. I'm very indigenous. I do all kinds of different things, because I come with that
Yeah.
spirit. But then I loved the awakened teachers. Really drawn to that because it touched
Yeah.
my soul. So my present husband and I were on the same team together. And we read and watched, different
Mhm.
teachers. And I had one, I didn't need to talk about this, but I
Mhm.
had one that I really, really felt a soul connection with, and his name is
Mhm.
Muji. And Muji happened to have been from
Mm.
Jamaica. There is a connection with that man. He's not my teacher. I don't have a teacher
Yeah.
anymore. That touches me. He has a great wisdom. So anyway, I went to visit Muji and I saw him in person, all of that. We connect. So my grandson, I was on the plane one day, flying home to Jamaica, and I had a book with me, one of these awakening book, and I was reading. And the next thing is my conditioned self. I have to use that. My conditioned self shot down the aisle, and it was like a cloud-like form. Instantly, I knew that is where all my spiritual
Mhm.
endeavors were. That is where I would do all the juicing. This is where I would eat all the special
Mhm.
foods, being whatever, because of what I think I should. Now, this
Mhm.
is the key. I think I should be a vegetarian or a vegan, and I should do all the juices because that's what my teacher at the time, spiritual teacher, tell all of us. So I'm doing all this, and I got to see. And I'm sitting in the seat, stunned, and I'm thinking, I know that was a shell. That kept all my spiritual beliefs in. And my husband had said to me several times over a period, he said, you have clothes in your closet that you outgrow. It does not you anymore. I wish I could go in there and take them out. And I used to think over my dead body, you're not doing. After that happened, I knew the only person I could tell what happened to me was my husband. And when I got out, the plane landed, I called him and I told him and I said, and by the way, you can go into my closet now and take out anything you want. Something had shifted. The mind belief had shifted and I was a different person. I had a major experience that I began to know that the awakened teacher, what they're talking about, I was understanding really what many people get awakened in different ways. But when you get to that place of awakening, to that moment, that's when the purification starts. I'm not talking about my healing and my memories. I'm talking about a more refinement of purification that you haven't arrived yet. You've only gone through another gate to become much more in tune with that divine self. That's when your heart becomes more open and you feel a more love and compassion for the world. So where I am now, that was 11 years ago. Where I am now, I live from a place of inner peace. And I honestly don't see, and I'm not into the chaos and whatever is going on the planet. And I know it's a lot, but I'm not entangled with it. I don't have an identification with it. So my identification is not coming from my belief. It's coming from a knowingness within me here. And I can see the right and the wrong, the good and the evil, but I sit in that neutrality. In neutrality, you're in your heart and you're not taking sides anywhere. You're in that divine state. And it's very beautiful. And I'm very grateful.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I love when people talk about that visitation because as they begin to reflect on it, you can see their reaction, how their eyes work, and you have a chance to go back and experience some of that because I remember in my life, and I've told people this, I remember being in church one time and I went in there. It had nothing to do with the preacher. I just loved God. And I went into the church and I sat down and we got up to sing and no one touched me. No one touched me. And boom, I hit the floor. It happened 3 days in a row because at the time it was preachers would come travel and teach for a certain amount of time. It happened 3 days in a row. No one touched me. Not a single soul laid hands on me. But all 3 times I hit the floor. And I was there until the services was finished. That's when I was able to come out. So I didn't hear anything about the service, didn't know anything about it. Just don't know. But I knew once I got up out of that state that everything changed. I knew everyone's life. It was really interesting. I knew their intentions as to the thoughts I saw into their lives, into everything that they were doing and thinking. And it made me, I remember just standing there and I remember talking to God and I said, wow. I said, all this is happening to me and this is not even anything, a fraction of what God is available to as far as the information. The book of Psalms says that he's watching all of us. And so it is that space when you are connected, because I remember being there. And it's a beautiful place. It's a place of peace. I learned how to control that because it got out of hand at one point. And I remember saying, you need to teach me how to manage this. And I remember when God taught me how to manage it. And so from that space, as you said, you're able to govern your life you're able to reach out when he would direct me to go to this family and that family, go to this particular area. I remember he told me to go somewhere. I didn't know where I was going, and I would jump in the car, and then he said, "Turn left, turn right," and I'm driving, and pulled up in front of where I needed to be. So, but he knows, and he knows the heart, and all of us, every single person has that spirit that needs to be awakened, wants to be awakened, but because we are programmed, as we've been talking about, we're not allowing that to happen because of fearfulness, because of all the other things that we allow to come in and distract. It is a place that everyone should be running to. And we have a guest that is talking about this place, and I want you guys to get in touch with her and have her take you to that next space, man. This is what thrills me about Threads of Enlightenment, that we have an opportunity to grow as individuals, to become better, to become more beautiful, to become loving. When I'm talking about better, I'm not talking about money and all that stuff. I'm talking about loving deeper. I'm talking about forgiving someone. Loving your enemies is the command, not to love the people that you are with you. Love your enemies, because if you love your enemies, the Bible tells us that when you love your enemies, I heard a man say, then you won't have any. So we are.
It's all there for all of us to
It
get to
is
that
our
place.
choice.
So it's beautiful. So the next layer that happens to me in my service, which, it's about the wisdom keeper I talked about. You, the child, is a wisdom keeper. Well, I had a vision, and this little boy came, and he had a golden key that he put above his head, and it says, we have a key for the adults, but we are here to help the adults, but first they have to take us out of lockdown for jail. I don't remember the word that's used. And I knew, because I think God or my soul had said, okay, now you have perfected healing in the way you've done. Now I'm giving you the messages for why the healing is so important, because it's to unveil the wisdom keeper, that divine spark. And I got messages, and they said, we're not a wounded child, we're a divine spark. And I didn't know the word before, but now I hear it a lot. And so they urged me that it must be put in a book for people to see these messages. And so the book is being written. It's written for everyone, because you're all the divine spark. It's written for you to remember those encoded words that were given to me. And you read it from your heart, those words.
Oh.
So we're all here, to come back to remember what love is.
Radavie, I want to thank you for coming. Threads of Enlightenment. We've been chatting for about almost an hour, a little over about. But I wanted to let the people know that this beautiful spirit has presented to us, and she has she has created many programs, the healing program, liberation program, all of these things you can get, the private retreat program, all of these tools she has here for you to be a part, to take part in, so that you can blossom as an individual, so you can change the world, change yourself first, change your family, change your friends, and change the world. Come join us on this beautiful journey of self-discovery, self-love, accepting, and learning who you are as an individual, so that you can truly change this world along with us. Thank you so much for coming.
I appreciate you so much, Ken. It was a very heartwarming conversation. And what I want to tell your audience, just if you're called from here, take my 20-minute complimentary. It's free. You will probably hear a lot in that 20 minutes. One of my clients told me she started going through a healing after the 20 minutes. And there's a lot that goes on in that 20 minutes. So I have clients everywhere in the world. We don't have to wait about personal, the Zoom is here. And it's just as powerful because it's about the
Yes.
energy. It's a
Thank
frequency.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me.
You're welcome.